Greetings, my fellow freedom lovers and sovereign thinkers. This is LL3's newest podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful Beehive State, which is also known as Utah. And today's date, Friday, August 5th, 2016. Yeah, just in the supermarket, just chilling a little bit. And it's really unusual what's been happening. Of course, there's videos of Hillary Clinton exhibiting herself as a MK Ultra mind control victim, you could say. Typical when you have folks being controlled as puppets, nothing new at all. And of course, there's a lot of strange things, especially the whole political realm about who's going to be the Messiah, as usual. And of course, I can just go on and on and on. And of course, in addition, looks like there's a lot of friction happening in Israel, which can be claimed to be a brink to civil war. I don't know how accurate is that, but I went on global research on that area, and I get a lot of information shared by all my colleagues on Facebook and Twitter and so forth. So we just gotta, see how the chips fall, would say. A lot of division is happening worldwide, and of course, what's going on with Turkey and telling sieging, or I would say other words, blocking NATO. I would say the NATO base, and of course, volcanoes being erupted around the Ring of Fire. But it's gonna be mostly gonna be talking stuff. It'd be domestic related, mainly political current events. So that'll be my main topic. Usually it is. I need to try to go a little bit further, but I've just had too much on my hands right now. Nothing serious, but just trying to get ready to leave here and hopefully in a couple of weeks. Okay, well, this is interesting what's going on with the whole Zika virus scares going on in South Florida. And it really boggles the mind when you got the governor and the politicians and the news media saying, oh, like they're all going to be afraid and live in fear and the whole boogeyman syndrome. It reminds me of the AIDS epidemic in the 80s when they had the big scare too with mind control and all that. So, yeah, but I'm just going to be talking about this. This is from Fusion.net. It says here the FDA just greenlit releasing mutant Zika killing mosquitoes in Florida. Ooh, sounds like really fascinating, right? It's by Christine Brown, B. Brown. And as it says here, at the meeting of the World Health Assembly Monday, Dr. Margaret Chan, Director General of the World Health Organization, explained what causes the spike of Zika virus. In blunt terms, governments ending mosquito control programs and failing to provide even the most basic family planning assistance to young women. This lack of adequate care for the world's poor and females has led to global disease outbreak that's creeping downward into the United States. According to NBC News, Brazilian epidemiologists have been beating a similar drum for months. The country eliminated the mosquitoes that carry Zika as well as other diseases like dengue in the 70s and then continued eradication and prevention programs. Sorry about that. Allowing, what the heck? Stop. Allowing, oh, okay. Yes, looks like my computer's going back and forth here. Allowing pests to return. The U.S. government is currently embroiled in the dead end fight over funding of Zika preparations. The situation is only growing more dire. There are currently 157 pregnant women in America who have tested positive for Zika. According to CDC, and experts believe that number will go up as summer approaches. It's already summer. Yeah, okay, this is a while back then. But it's the 5th date this was released. The virus is even threatening to have a major impact on the upcoming Olympics in Rio. Experts have warned that it was only a matter of time before American children are born with Zika-related microcephaly and other birth defects. There are a number of drug manufacturers working toward a Zika vaccine. but those won't be viable options until sometime 2017 at the earliest. There are also some radical ideas out to curb mosquito population, like releasing genetically modified mosquitoes. Yeah, Bill Gates, bred to have lethal genes that will kill the offspring before it can mature. That too will take time. Which with no vaccine available, super science being constrained by time, and mosquito season following on the heels of the calendar turning over the summer months. And what can you do to avoid contacting the Zika virus? A lot, actually. The areas, the, the areas in purple was like there's a little map here, so you can like you look at that up, or schedule or cancel that trip. The areas in purple are above the transmission risk area. South America and the Caribbean have the worst of it right now, but especially with new cases coming to the United States, that purple is going to slowly creeping north. Altogether, there are 46 countries and territories where you can catch Zika, and almost all of them are popular vacation destinies for Americans. So, to stay relatively safe, avoid areas where Zika is present. The CDC regularly updates its notes which places have higher levels of infection, so check with them before or after you've booked your trip. Luckily for American travelers, many of the top airlines and cruise ship companies that provide service to these areas are taking steps to work with customers. Oh, yeah. And, yeah, will work with customers who are having second thoughts about their trip. Several airlines are offering full refunds or chances to reschedule for all customers, while others are only offering refunds to select locations, with some even requiring a doctor's note. Most of the hotels in affected areas are not offering refunds, but some are considering case-by-case waivers. Your best bet is to call up customer service if you're considering postponing or changing your trip and see what their policies are. If you absolutely have to travel, these extreme measures to avoid mosquito bites is simplistic. It's, but that's the best way to avoid getting Zika. According to the Center for Disease Control, mosquitoes that carry Zika mostly bite during the daytime. They also spread dengue fever and chikungunya viruses. It is really in your best interest or to not get bitten. You can avoid mosquito bites in a variety of ways. There are lots of ways to do this, and best practice would be combine many different methods. You don't have to invest in a hazmat suit, but wearing long sleeves and pants is a solid start. The Mormon Church just got on this by declaring it appropriate for women on missions to wear slacks, while in areas like Zika is prevalent. Further, the FDA has declared clothes that feature promethium and synthetic insecticides are safe for women and children. The, the mosquito carrying Zika are attracted to feet as well as so shoes and socks are going to be better bet than sandals. Use EPA approved insect repellent. Huh? After you dress, pick up a spray repellent containing any of these ingredients. DEET, Pezalodin, IR 3535, oil of lemon, acalabis, like lemon skin's good, and paramethane deal. Garlic is good also, so because I learned this from a Vietnam veteran that served in that served as a Navy SEAL in up New Hampshire about 20 years ago. So our garlic, liquid garlic is very good too. The CDC says that these repellents, especially those with DEET, which has something of a negative reputation, are safe for women who are pregnant or breastfeeding when used correctly. This means no repellents based on oils like canola candles because their efficacy isn't entirely known. It should go without saying, but remember to follow the application instructions closely. Do not apply directly to the skin, etc. Safeguard your home from mosquitoes. The Zika-carrying mosquitoes love daytime and shade, so they don't mind coming indoors. Stop them. Make sure your windows and screens are not damaged, and don't leave doors open. You should be mindful and clear away in all standing water, inside and out. Mosquitoes can lay their eggs at the bottom of glass water, So empty and clean containers like vases or flower pots that hold water regularly. Inside, use air conditioning if possible. The recirculating air confuses the insects and makes it more difficult for them to track things to bite. Mosquitoes love carbon dioxide and heat, two things that our bodies produce regularly. AC helps keep these levels low. For that reason, exercise indoors. If air conditioning is available, a ceiling fan can work a similar fashion to recirculate air, but it will probably also be worth investing in a mosquito net to go over your bed. A mosquito net is an absolute must if you plan to sleep outdoors. Lastly, use insecticides inside and outdoors. You will need a good spray for outdoor areas and an anti-larval for any standing water areas you cannot clear, and an indoor fogger will do the trick inside your home. The CDC guide has creating your own Zika prevention kit here. There's a link for that. Okay, just to give you guys, you can check it out yourselves. Zika can spread through sex. So how do you prevent that? Shortly after Zika started making waves, we learned that it could be transmitted sexually from men to their partners. If a man had contacted Zika while traveling, he could spread it to a partner back in the U.S. or elsewhere. It is unknown how long it stays in semen, though. One instance showed traces 62 days after symptoms showed up, but is longer than it stays in blood. That means even if you're no longer showing symptoms, you can still pass it through sex. Knowing this is important to use condoms correctly at all times, and that might mean putting off plans to get pregnant. This goes for intercourse and oral sex. If you're pregnant and your sexual partner has recently had been Zika in a Zika hot zone, you should see your doctor as soon as possible. Can you still spread Zika or Zika if you're currently not in a sexual relationship or actively having sex? Yes. If you contacted it while traveling or living in an area where transmission is happening, the virus can be passed to a non-carrying mosquito in another location, thus creating a new Zika-carrying mosquito. It screws up, so circle back to the ways to avoid bites above. The CDC recommends taking those precautions for 3 weeks after returning from your trip. And it says here, call or write your representative in government and urge family planning and funding and education. Capping her address to the World Health Assembly, Dr. Chan noted it's the only way, one of the only ways to protect women of childbearing age was to offer similar advice as above. However, she warned Zika reveals an extreme for failure to consequence to failure to, the failure to provide universal access to sexual and family planning services. Latin America and the Caribbean have the highest portion of unintended pregnancies anywhere in the world. Condoms are expensive in certain parts of South America, which is why there have been so many news reports about a huge number of condoms being sent to the Olympics. Charities have a long history of sending condoms to areas where sexually transmitted diseases are running rampant. Doing to one of those could send more condoms to Zika infected places. If you want to have fun while helping out, here for condom brands that donate their products to the developing world with every purchase. Okay, so I've been seeing this couple of links here. I'm going to add on here as well. And Melissa Dykes from the truthstreammedia.com and Aaron Dykes. They were, Aaron Dykes used to be with InfoWars, and they talked about the whole thing with this whole Zika psyops. And it's like few people having it in Florida and now like living in fear. And this thing happened around 1947, according to the video here. And I've been hearing about this from other places, and I do recall talking about this like a while back on the water that was a lot of chemicals were in the waters of Brazil, and a lot of kids and the folks in the area have been infected by it as well. But they're trying to blame it on a mosquito, and it really boggles me because the whole GM genetically modified mosquitoes was funded by I think Bill Gates and the Rockefeller network. So you have to really look at everything. Of course, these precautions in good faith. Have a healthy immune system. Get involved. There's a lot of great natural remedies that can fight these things. They don't want you to know. So definitely do that. And just be vigilant. You have to really be vigilant. And so I'm going to add this one here. Zika Psyop to justify releasing millions of Bill Gates GM mosquitoes in Florida. And here's another one here, the video that I got from let's go strangerthanfictionnews.com, and talk about when they're spraying all this stuff in the city of Miami, called part of chemical warfare, to fight this so-called Zika virus. And if you watch the video, it's really odd because you have someone wearing a mask and spraying this all over people's homes and their gardens and all that. And that's why I'm like, I'm just like so disturbed. But the folks out there, you better be really careful, because there's even claims that the whole the spray, the certain chemicals they had in the spray, can cause the brains to shrink, and maybe violent tendencies, amplify violent tendencies in a period of time, and cancer and so forth. And I don't know why the people in Miami aren't calling these people out, because they tried to do that in Puerto Rico and people protested, and there's even cases in that area that have women who are pregnant have the Zika virus. So that's oh, you have to, like I said, you gotta be extremely vigilant. And I recommend everyone, even in the entire state of Florida, to send all this information to your elected servants on the local and state level, because even Flip Flopper Scott, he's probably assuming, but that needs to be sent to him as well. And I'm gonna take the initiative and just post it on his Facebook page and just email it to him. So this guy really got people gotta start really being vigilant, because I do see this as a psyops, and a fear, to put fear into the people. And if they could do it in South Florida, they can do it anywhere. It's just an example. They're doing this fear thing for a long, long time. These guys are real desperate. So everyone out there, because what happened was, when I saw the map, it went in Miami-Dade, in the Miami area. It was in from downtown to north of Little Haiti, I would say, and Edgewater and Douglas Road, like that whole area from Flagler to Northwest 62nd Street to US 1 all the way down to Douglas Road, which is Northwest 37th Avenue. That whole block has been like being sprayed, and of course using there's even reports too that they've been knocking on people's doors and give them and have them and try to say, hey, urinate in this cup to see if you got the Zika virus. So that's really like, actually, 1984 Orwellian methods to get the people to live in fear, and say we're doing this for your protection. And you know what? You can't trust these bastards by any means. So whatever you do, go out there and pay attention. I got some friends down there too. I live down there, so I got to really make sure this cannot happen. So I guess that'll be enough of that ranting on that. So I'm going to post all that on there. You go, so folks can see it for yourselves. And it has other links in there as well. And this one here came from the Federalist, came out yesterday. It says here, Black Lives Matter founder Clinton used black people for votes. And this is by Bray Payton. It says here, the Clintons use black people for votes, but then don't do anything for black communities after they're elected. They use us for photo ops. In an interview published by Bloomberg on Thursday, Black Lives Matter co-founder Alicia Garza dropped the bombshell and said that Hillary Clinton and her husband, former President Bill Clinton, just use black people for votes. Early on, Hillary would say, yes, Black Lives Matter, but she would acknowledge her role in processes that fundamentally showed black lives did not matter, Garza said. Garza also slammed former President Bill Clinton for loudly criticizing BLM activists at a campaign event in April. You're defending the people who kill the lives you say matter, Bill Clinton said earlier this year while defending his administration crackdown on crimes in the 90s. Nothing new there at all. I was angry about that for about a month. Seriously, like every single day, Garza said. It's reprehensible for him to defend the impacts his policies have had on our communities. The Clintons used black people for votes, Garza said, but then don't do anything for black communities after they're elected. They use us for photo ops. Hey, that's what happens when you got folks who are like globalist puppets. And remember, Bill Clinton is a member of the Council of Foreign Relations. Hey, hey. All right. And the 42nd president's comments aren't the only reason the BLM movement is upset with the Clintons. Hillary's campaign events have been repeatedly followed by activists who have criticized her use for the term super predator to describe young black men. Black men. Last year, Hillary told BLM activists that she would only talk to white people about racial issues if they continued to disrupt her events. In March, Hillary popped off at a young black woman who asked her a question about her record on racial issues, suggesting that young women should go run for something if she wasn't happy with the status quo. Hillary also declared at a campaign rally that a lot of well-meaning open white people think black men in hoodies are scary. If we I mean, if we're honest, for a lot of well-meaning, open-minded white people, the sight of young black men in a hoodie still evokes the tinge of fear, Clinton said. In 1996, Hillary Clinton famously referred to black youth as super predators who have no conscience and no empathy. We have to bring them to heel, then the then First Lady vowed. Well, it's like it shows another example of certain people getting used. And I have to agree with Garza, Alicia Garza, honest. And of course, it's nothing new because Hillary Clinton, the Clintons use everybody. They even use the labor organizations, okay? And that's why I tell people, hey, Hillary Clinton supports the TPP as well. So you know what? You people out there got to start calling her. I go, where's your union card? As I got to start calling anyone. That's not just her, but anyone else. And it's just like I said, my friends, I'm not, too keen with certain actions from folks that represents BLM, but I can't argue with this one at all about Clinton's use these folks. And it's nothing new, but one thing I gotta say, people are waking up, including the African American community as well, that the Clintons are wicked, evil, and treasonous. And she says, "Oh, we gotta do it for the children. You gotta do it for this." She's a warmonger too. She's an imperialist. She believes the world should revolve, the America should revolve around her. I told her to stick it. But one thing I know has been happening. This couple shows like a show or two's been canceled. Like one of them's in Cleveland, and due on health issues allegedly. But there's been even reports. Even I addressed this that she's been getting blackouts. There's something to think about, my friends. And like I said, more people wake up, the better. All right. Speaking of the Clintons and the Democratic National Committee, this from Zero Hedge came out today. Came out today to be exact. And it's really interesting stuff here. It says here, the lead attorney in the anti-Clinton DNC fraud case mysteriously found dead. As it reads, call it a conspiracy theory, coincidence, or just bad luck. But anytime someone is in a position to bring down Hillary Clinton, they wind up dead. In fact, as we noted previously, there's a long history of Clinton-related body counts with scores of people dying under mysterious circumstances. While Vince Foster remains the most infamous, the body count is starting to build ominously this election cycle, from mysterious crushing of his own throat to a death of a UN official, to the latest death of an attorney who served the DNC with the fraud suit. As Gateway Pundit's Jim Hoft reports, on July 3rd, 2016, Sean Lucas and filmmaker Ricardo Villalba served the DNC Service Corp, and chairperson David Wiseman Schultz at DNC's headquarters in Washington, D.C., in the fraud class action suit against the Democrat Party on behalf of Bernie Sanders supporters. This was before WikiLeaks released documents proving the DNC was working against Sanders' campaign during the 2016 primary. Sean Lucas was thrilled about serving the papers to the DNC before Independence Day. And there's a tweet from Nico DeHouse that says here, just let us know, to let everyone know, everyone with the DNC fraud suit filed in FL Florida tracking Sean Lucas' regretful passing. We have not spoken about it until we are sure what exactly happened. We will comment later as to how correlated his movement with his case may or may not have been once we gather more information. To his family, we send our deepest condolences. Our thoughts are with you. According to Snoops magazine, Lucas was found on his bathroom floor. Wow. And it goes here. We contacted Lucas' employer on August 4, 2016 to ask whether there was any truth to the rumor. According to the individual with him we spoke to at that company, Sean Lucas died on August 2nd, 2016. The audibly and understandably shaken employee stated that interest in the circumstances of Lucas' death had prompted a number of phone calls and other queries, but the company had not yet ascertained any details about Lucas' cause of death and were unable to confirm anything more than the fact that he passed away. Wow. So it goes here. An unconfirmed report holds Lucas was found lying on the bathroom floor by his girlfriend when she returned home on the evening of August 2nd, 2016. Paramedics responding to a 911 call. The call found no signs of life. There's a video on that too that has all the information about the case, and when actually Counselor Lucas and Ricardo Rebel had actually videotape recorded the live feed on that, and they did actually gave the papers to on the representative of the DNC. So that is a fact. But you can watch the video, YouTube link on there, so definitely check it out. And all the information is at the end of the video as well. So it goes here, and it says here, continue on. Following the death of 27-year-old Democratic staffer Seth Conrad Rich, who was murdered in Washington, D.C. on July 8th, the killer or killers appear to have taken nothing from their victim, leaving behind his wallet, watch, and phone. Shortly after the killing, re-editors and social media users were pursuing a lead, saying that Rich was en route to the FBI morning of his murder, apparently intending to speak to special agents on the ongoing court case, possibly involving the Clinton family. And he lives in Flagler Place. Yeah, it looks like he lives in this Washington D.C. Yep. Wow. There's a photo on that as well for a $25,000 reward. So to summarize, courtesy of Janet Tavakali, the Clinton-related body count so far this election year, 5 in just under 6 weeks for convenient deaths plus 1 suicide. 1. Sean Lucas, Sanders supporter who served papers at DNC on the fraud case. DOD August 2nd, 2016. Victor Thorne, Clinton author and Holocaust denier, probably the last credible on this list, shot himself in apparent suicide. Conspiracy theorist at Mystery Rise of America says some guys will do anything to sell books. DOD August 2016. 3. Seth Conrad, Democratic staffer, age 27, apparently on his way to speak to the FBI about a case possibly involving the Clintons. The D.C. murder was not a robbery. This is on July 8th. On July 8th. That's the date, July 8th, 2016. 4. John Ash, UN official who allegedly crushed his throat while lifting weights because he watched too many James Bond films and wanted to try a move where the bad guys try, never mind. He was scheduled to testify against the Clintons and the Democratic Party. That's a date, June 22nd, 2016. Mike Flynn, the big government editor for Breitbart News. Mike Flynn's final article was published the day he died. Clinton Cash, Bill, Hillary created their own Chinese foundation in 2014. That's a date, June 23rd, 2016. Coincidence? Must be a coincidence, right? A former Secret Service agent, Gary Byrne, is to be believed. This is business as usual for the Clintons. Excerpt via Zero Hedge. And it says here from the Sean Hannity, there's a video for that too on there. As what he says, I feel so strong. Byrne says, I feel so strong that people need to know the real Hillary Clinton, how dangerous she is in her behavior. She is not a leader. She is not a leader. And Sean replies, she does not have the temperament. She doesn't have the temperament. She didn't have the temperament to handle the social office when she was First Lady. She does not have the temperament. Sean goes, she's honest, dishonest, Byrne goes, she's dishonest. She habitually lies. Anybody that can separate themselves from their politics and review her behavior over the past 15 years. Yep, this is really a lot of foul play going on, my friends. Lots of foul play. And even those Hillary supporters need to question these things on her actions and too many obvious foul ups. They're getting real sloppy. And I did do a report on that too, if I'm correct, about the lawsuit, which that firm did, and it's down in Miami. And saying everything has been filed. Case number is going to be at the federal district court. Like I said, go on that video about when they went to the DNC to file the summons. Everything's out there, so definitely check it out. There's a lot of it's very suspicious. Okay, it's getting too obvious. And one thing, these conspirators that are involved in these deaths, this is not the 1960s anymore, or the early 90s or 80s. It's gonna come out a lot quicker than you think. And a lot of these folks that supports Hillary Clinton or involved in her murderous, hawkish schemes, you're all wearing no clothes. You are stripped naked. Your time will come. It's gonna blow back in your faces when you least expect it. And you know what's gonna happen? If this does occur, Lord willing, I can say one thing: look in the mirror before complaining about it, because no one's gonna believe you. Credibility's always been the best policy, and yours has always been null and void. This is from libertyblitzkrieg.com. And who wrote this? Let me see. Let me just go down a little bit. Michael Krieger, to be exact. This one's entitled An Update on the Obamacare Disaster. An architect of the federal health care law said last year the lack of transparency and the stupidity of the American voter helped Congress approve Obamacare. He suggested that many lawmakers and voters didn't know what was in the law or how its financing worked, and that this helped to win the approval. There's a post on that as well. You can see the video post, the video of the day. It says, okay, and it says here, 2017 is shaping up to be a very, very ugly year for Obamacare, a year which it may become obvious that the entire thing is an unredeemable failure. Many of you surely have been paying attention to headlines regarding insurers fleeing the Affordable Care Act exchanges due to major financial losses despite huge premium hikes. But you may still not recognize how bad the situation really is. In that regard, read the following excerpts from Vox article published yesterday titled Obamacare's Market Will Be Less Competitive Next Year. Competition on the Obamacare marketplace will decline next year. There will be significantly more places in the country where customers have no choice of health insurance because this one company signed up to sell coverage. This is a conclusion that health policy experts have increasingly gratified toward in recent months and weeks as major insurance companies have announced hundreds of millions of dollars in financial losses on the Obamacare marketplaces. President Obama promised when the marketplaces launch that Americans will find more choices, more competition, and in many cases, lower prices. That came out from his teleprompter, I'll guarantee you that. And insurance competition did not go up in the first few years of Obamacare. Between 2014 and 2015, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services estimated that the number of insurance carriers participating in Obamacare increased 25%. More health plans wanted and a new opportunity to sell directly to customers. But now some of these gains are backsliding. A recent analysis showed that Obamacare's marketplace will have twice as many exits and entrants in 2017. Insurers have tested out Obamacare. In some cases, they've lost hundreds of millions of dollars. Adelberg at Vergray BD has been tracking marketplace newcomers and departures by his count. At least 13 insurers have announced they'll leave the Obamacare marketplaces. This figure likely underscores the severity of the problem, as two of those insurers, United Health and Humana, sell in multiple states. At the same time, it looks like like 7 new carriers will come onto the market, but those insurers tend to be smaller, typically selling in just 1 or 2 states. This means there will be more places in the United States where consumers have less choices of plans, if any choice at all. The Kaiser Family Foundation estimates that 664 counties, will have a single marketplace insurer in 2017, up from 225 of these counties in 2016. Meanwhile, some insurers that were initially bullish on Obamacare are turning bearish. The prime example here is Aetna, a major insurer that signed up more than 800,000 Obamacare enrollees and as recently as April called the law a good investment. But on all earnings calls Monday, Aetna's views of Obamacare seemed to sharply change. Chief Executive Mark Bertolini announced that the company lost $300 million on the marketplace last year. Aetna will next plans to expand into 5 additional states and will evaluate the 15 states it currently sells in. So it is possible that we are seeing right now that the more expensive plans, the ones that offer wide networks of doctors, low deductibles, and brand name hospitals, are getting edge out of the market. And that type of insurance sold through Obamacare will be more homogeneous than we realize. Mission accomplished. Meanwhile, here's what insurers who are sticking with the Obamacare market plans are doing. This is from the Chicago Tribune. Insurers want to crank up the cost of health insurance premiums by as much as 45% for Illinois residents who buy coverage through the Affordable Care Act's marketplace. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois, the most popular insurer on the state's Obamacare exchange, is proposing increases ranging from 23 to 45% in premiums for its individual health care plans, according to a proposed 2017 premiums that were made public Monday. The insurer blamed the sought after hikes mainly on changes in the cost of medical services. Of course, none of this could be none of this should come as a surprise. Many of us have been warning about Obamacare since the very beginning. I've dedicated several posts in Topic 2016 alone, and there's plenty of them here. In Liberty, Michael Krieger. Well, that's what happens when you support fascistic healthcare. This is why I tell everyone you have to read the 19-page plus document to really know what the ACA is all about. But too many people listen to bobbleheads. They go, oh, well, the AFL-CIO. The people are critical. They support what they say. Oh, well, Fox News says it's not good. See, I don't need to listen to lobbyists. I try to examine it, verify it on my own. And what I read in that, which I don't, like I said, when I read it, and I was not impressed. And they say, "Oh, you're in the union, got to support this thing." I'm like, "Look, you really want to make affordable premiums? They should have repealed the HMO Act, or the Health Maintenance Organization Act of 1973, that was passed by Congress and signed by who? The late Richard Milhouse Nixon, President Richard Nixon to be exact. That's what they call him, Tricky Dicky, correct? Absolutely. This is why I'm totally against this from the very get-go, because I've taken the initiative on looking at it instead of listening to bobbleheads, lobbyist groups, and some news jokers, etc. Now you got technology, folks. Read these things. It's very essential, and it says it's blowback in people's faces. So I recommend everyone out there who is not, look for the insurance companies that are not involved with this program and do a little shopping. That's all I gotta say. Like LibertyOnCall.org, maybe doing something. You just gotta start just do a little shopping. You'd be surprised. You can get good coverage at a certain rate. But I'll say this: get rid of the ACA and if the HMO Act's in the books, repeal that as well. You'll see the insurances drop. Boom. It's enough of this corporatism, government dependency on healthcare, because it is very risky and it will hurt everyone. including people that would try to work a lot, that work their tails off, and are being condemned. So enough of that. It has to be repealed or nullify it. Everyone can say it's null and void, which is unconstitutional because they're trying to tell you you have to have this. And you know what? Natural law supersedes the ACA. Okay? Enough said. All right, finally, from from the New American came out today as well. It says here, UN announced support for Obama's nationalization of police. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. We'll bow down to our puppet messiah. All right. As it says here, it's by Alex Newman. It says here, after recently demanding everything from robust gun control and reparations for slavery, constitutional amendments altering the supreme law of the land, the United Nations has now publicly endorsed the Obama administration's illegal efforts to federalize America's local police department. Can we say, God bless the New World Order? Flush. A UN official had also offered to provide technical assistance to the U.S. government in implementing its radical demands, specifically a UN official from Kenya. Ah, that's supposed to be Obama's native country, native land, Kenya. Okay, an official, UN official from Kenya touted on one of many schemes used by the White House to impose unconstitutional federal regulations on local law enforcement. What a wet dream. Dubbed consent decrees. The plot involves extremist bureaucrats at the Obama justice system threatening, bullying, and suing city governments into submission to Obama's demands. Yeah, can we say encroachment? The UN lawyer called for the administration commandeering of cops be beefed up and increased to help nationalize as many American police departments as possible. Citing international law, the UN figured also attack gun rights and the concealed carry of firearms. The UN's latest assault on the God-given rights to keep and bear arms protected by the state and U.S. Constitution came after a deluge of similar attacks coming from the global body and its widely ridiculed human rights councils in particular. While the U.S. government is not currently represented, some of the most ruthless communist and Islamist dictatorships on the planet enjoys seats on the outfit. Hey, I want someone to tell me when I can clean my butt. Please, one world government, can you do that for me? The UN bureaucrats boasted of the Obama administration's cooperation in the supposed investigation. However, their reaction to the UN's attack was swift, with criticism of the UN often ridiculed by critics as the Dictators Club, making headlines across America after being posted on the Drudge Report, the world's top news and information site. The bizarre attacks on fundamental freedoms, local police, and America's federal system of self-government under the U.S. Constitution were being made following a recent official visit by representatives of the dictator-dominated UN Human Rights Council. The demands were issued by radical Kenyan lawyer Miana Kai, whose formal title is the UN Special Rapporteur on the rights of freedom to peacefully assemble and of association. Like bread and circuses. UN style. Come on, these pathetic fools. Well, I'm a radical lawyer. Yeah, well, you blow at it, okay? Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice has provided oversight and recommendations for improvement of police services in a number of cities with consent decrees. The UN Super Rapporteur said in initial findings, this is one of the most effective ways to reduce discrimination in law enforcement, and it needs to be beefed up and increased to cover as many as 18,000 plus law enforcement jurisdictions. Yeah, please, you can't take care of it. We'll do it for you and ram you in the rear end 10,000 times more. As a New American has been reporting for many years, the executive branch has been abusing its powers by threatening local police departments with lawsuits and then bullying them into accepting unconstitutional federal standards. Ironically, the DOJ cites the unconstitutional Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act engaged in the bullying, the very same Clinton-Biden law now, blasted by race mongers such as Kaye and as racist due to the mass incarceration of black Americans under the three-strike scheme. To pursue the legal federalization after being threatened, local jurisdictions faced with the overwhelming resources of out of control federal government is in biased federal courts often simply agreed to submit to federal regulations under consent decrees instead of fighting a long and costly legal battle to maintain their independence from the White House. So they want to do the white flag. Yes, master, we will bow down to you. Yeah, James Madison is rolling in his grave right now. Fellows Papers 46. Read it. The Obama administration has been especially aggressive in pushing this DOJ takeover of local policing. The New American reported in this issue, Police Under Fire, published last year, exposed the real agenda behind nationalizing and attacking the police. Indeed, the Obama administration has been boasting about the abuses in press releases, bragging in 2014, for example, that it had bullied 15 police departments into agreements, including 9 consent decrees, the sort touted by UN bureaucrat, citizens, and police in New Orleans, Portland, Detroit, Albuquerque, East Haven, Warren, which is Ohio, Puerto Rico, and more have all been victimized by the illegal scheme. The dangerous calls for trashing America's system of government by nationalizing police, which are supposed to be accountable to local communities, rather than Obama, was hardly the only extremism exhibited by the UN, among other bizarre theories. Kai also argued that gun rights were not compatible with freedom of assembly. Can I give him a peanut microphone when I have a chance? Put that in his mouth. That's not a sexual harassment either. In America, of course, freedom of assembly is protected in the Constitution's First Amendment, while gun rights are enshrined in the Second Amendment. Historically, the rights have been complementary, with the right to keep and bear arms being seen as necessary to security of a free state in which everyone is free to peacefully assemble, speak freely, and so on. It's called the Ninth Amendment, enumerations. For Kaye, though, despite the fact that the right have been coexisting just fine for more than 2 centuries in America. Gun rights need to go in the interest of the UN-defined pseudo-human rights revocable under virtuality and a pretext. I wish to underscore the challenges of exercising the right to peaceably assemble when there is open or concealed carriage of guns, he said. Ironically, perhaps he pointed to Ferguson, Missouri, where members of the pro-Constitution Oath Keepers law enforcement group, falsely demonized as white people by the UN extremists, helped protect the business from looters and rioters. And you know what? And remember, a lot of those folks from Oath Keepers, they protect those businesses that were African American owned. Okay, so this guy is such a yahoo. All right, I bet you he's involving. Don't be surprised. I won't be surprised if this Yahoo attorney from Kenya probably supports all those killings and murders that happen in his country. Okay, he needs to shut his trap. The UN bureaucrat also claimed unnamed police supported his warped view despite their oath to the Constitution because it was scary to know that protesters might be carrying concealed weapons. Under the law, cite the peaceful character of a protest is largely determined by the intent of the organizers and participants. Kaye claimed without citing which international law he was referring to or what made this alleged global law effective in America. There is no need for peaceful protesters to carry intimidating guns. Oh, he's my nanny. Continue with the reference to what he views as international law. Kaye also claimed the UN's views on labor and unions should override the views of Americans as expressed through their elected representatives. International human rights law explicitly sets out the rights of workers, the UN Special Rapporteur claimed. In particular, he said illegal immigrants who he called undocumented immigrants were not having their alleged right to a union respected by employers or local authorities crossing national borders, whether legally or otherwise, does not take away these rights, he said. I got this guy. He's pro Club of Rome. He's like New World Order. One World Order is written on his forehead. Okay, ignorance displayed throughout the anti-American screed was stunning. Among other examples, Kaye mistakenly referred to America as one of the oldest democracies in the world. In the real world, of course, America's founders abhorred democracy or mob rule, preferring instead to set up a republic in which the rule of law would protect the God-given rights of Americans. Critics, though, slammed the UN comments and the Obama administration's stealth efforts to illegally commandeer American police departments. The UN Human Rights Council, on which China and Venezuela and Cuba sit, it's urging the Department of Justice to nationalize as many as 18,000 local police jurisdictions, said Americans for Limited Government President Rick Manning. This is appalling on its face, but that's worse is justice has already been regulating local police for years. These sue, these sue and lawful settlements have been implemented in Newark, New Jersey, Miami, Florida, Los Angeles, California, Ferguson, Missouri, Chicago, Illinois, and others. Requirements include how searches are conducted, the use of force, the mandatory use of body cameras by the police, and so on. The agreements impose year-long compliances review regime and implementation deadlines and regular reviews by federal bureaucrats. The Obama administration has been pursuing these cases for years, and it has largely gone unnoticed, Manning said. Congress never authorized federal regulation of the local police departments, and if Obama had requested it legislatively, they likely would have said no. The DOJ has been taking over local police under Congress's noses, using an expansive interpretation of federal law. The ball was dropped, but how it must be picked up, and Congress needs to stop nationalizing of local police departments. The fact that the UN's Human Rights Council, which includes some of the worst abuses of human rights in the world that hates the U.S., is cheering for the DOJ national takeover of the police to tell members everything they need to know. It's time to support local police, not render them impotent via federal restrictions against maintaining law and order, Manning concluded. Not less than the very existence of local government is at stake. In an article in Leipzig that was picked up by the Drudge Report and countless other media outlets across America, senior editor Robert Romano for Americans for Limited Government echoed those concerns, giving the UN its extremism another major black eye. Even while calling for American police to be nationalized, though the UN is not even going even further. Another among other programs, the outfit is now working on building up its own international law enforcement capabilities, with the so-called peacekeeping military troops facing outrage worldwide for raping and exploiting children with impunity. The UN's push to expand and further empower its UN police force, known as UNPOL, would appear to be especially ill-advised. At the same time, though, the controversial global organization is working up to usurp more influence over existing national forces. This June, the UN even brought together more than 100 national police chiefs at its first ever UN Chiefs of Police Summit, UN COPS. Before that, UN bosses. Ban Ki-moon, who now refers the outfit leads a Parliament of Humanity, called on local police officers to obey what he termed international standards. And already, American cops are being trained by the UN, as this magazine has documented. More recently, Obama Attorney General Loretta Lynch announced for a global policing scheme known as the Strong Cities Network that has become a lightning rod for criticism, which I have done an episode on that, which I call it the Strong Cities Network, a NWO labyrinth. You'd be surprised. Check that out on the website. It has merit. Okay, so definitely I recommend people take a chance and listen to that again. Fortunately, there's a simple solution to the UN and its outrageous meddling in American affairs: an American exit or a Megxit from the UN. Legislation sitting in Congress, dubbed the American Sovereignty Restoration Act, H.R. 2005, will not only end U.S. involvement in the UN, it will also evict the scandal-plagued outfit's headquarters from U.S. soil, with the UN attacks on police, constitutionally protected liberties, and even the American system of government becoming increasingly extreme. Americans should redouble their efforts, get the United States out of the UN with an Megxit. At the same time, as this magazine has advocated for decades, Americans should continue to work and support the local police to keep them independent from federal control. And that is a fact. And don't get me wrong, like there's a lot of issues. They're always going to have criminal elements in these particular institutions. We cannot try not to crucify them completely. It can be done, because here's the thing, my friends. When you start learning about the sovereign immunity tort liability around the country. Technically, the police are not obligated to protect you, but they are being trained more aggressively. I'm not going to argue about that at all. But you got to put out the facts with these people. You got to educate, plant these seeds, even with the police officers themselves. It has to be done. These victimless crime laws is another thing that's unacceptable. And the United Nations and the federal government trying to encroach on these local police departments is null and void. It needs to be abolished. I'm one of those proud individuals that have the face United Nations flag, and there are times I say wave it around everywhere I go, and I get good discussions from folks. Some people try to argue with me, but I say look at your facts, then we'll talk. This is one of the things why John Jay warned us about this in Federalist Papers 2 through 5 about foreign countries or entities trying to influence a new nation. He found it very scary, and that's why the man like that had a lot of foresight. But yeah, we got to get rid of the UN. I don't really give a damn about what that attorney Kai said. I think it sounds like him and Michael Bloomberg are maybe um, legal lovers and both wear his towels. I just don't know. It's just the truth of the matter is Obama, even President Obama, that's another bend over Bob to New World Order. And I have no shame of saying it because you know why? Because he is another unmeritable politician. So everyone got to start working on a local level, make things happen, plant a seed, not no tree. And there's always going to be issues with this particular institution, with the police department, but you can all make a difference. Hey, what happened? They fought corruption. The Battle of Athens, Tennessee. That was my last episode, so definitely check that out too. But the truth of the matter is, let's support the local police in good faith. Put their feet to the fire, and I always say this: remember, they're human beings too, and don't let them step all over you as well. Support them, but be vigilant at the same time. But outsiders like the UN and the Washington D.C., they could stick it, plain and simple. That's all I have to say. So right now, that is all. I'd like to thank everyone for listening to this show. Plus, feel free to download and share this throughout your social media networks and everything else on my archives that you see on Spreaker and iHeartRadio. All right. If you have any questions, comments, or it doesn't matter what side, positive or negative, or you got any information you want to send me, be great. Oops, sorry about that. Sorry about that. Be great. Whatever you do, please send your correspondence with decorum. Decorum. You can hit me on Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Tumblr, YouTube, Freedoms Network, and Scene.life. Or you can email me at LokiLuck3, is all together, number 3, at gmail.com. All right, folks, that's all for now. Once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that the demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading the love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.